Welcome to Smoky CNC Woodworks. I'm Brian, and I know I've been gone forever. And trust me, I feel it too. I think the last time y'all saw me, I was building some axe throwing targets, and which apparently turned out to be a hit at a men's conference. So here's what's happened since then. Right around that time, my laptop died, and that ended up just being a hard drive gave out and motherboard. I was able to pull the software off, put it on a new laptop, so I've got that back going. Around the time I was doing the axe targets, I got the CNC back wired up. I was pumped. It kicked on whenever I plugged it in, turned the power on. Went to fire up the computer, blue screen of death. So the shop computer had died. I messed with that thing probably that day 4 or 5 hours, to the point that I was ready to do hammer surgery on it. And when it came to that point, I decided I better take this thing to somebody. So I took it. He had it for a bit, trying to figure it out. I really figured it was either hard drive or motherboard with it. Turned out just to be a hard drive. He replaced the hard drive, and I didn't even think about it. He put a new operating system on it that was newer than the one I had. Unfortunately, my software runs off of an older operating system, and the operating system I actually use is Windows 7. That's the way the CNC set up. I've got the breakout board working off that. If I go any higher, I have to get a controller, which is just another system that will help it operate so I can run it through a USB, which that would all be great. But that's not the way I have it set up. And I really don't want to buy the controller, because those controllers are $400 or $500. So he put the wrong operating system in, so I thought, all right, no big deal. I'll find a copy of Windows 7, which, by the way, is no longer supported by Microsoft. They don't make it anymore. So I finally found a copy of Windows 7. Thought, not a big deal. I'll take the old one off, put the new one on. Went through that, fired it up. It reloaded Windows 10. Couldn't figure that out. Didn't even have Windows 10 disk in there. So I tried it again, and each time I did it, the first time I did it, it's like 3.5 hour process. It was slow doing it. And it's the computer. The computer's older. And it didn't take. So I tried it again a different way, because there's 2 or 3 ways to remove an operating system. So I tried it again. Again, did not work. Well, during that process, I found that one of my CD-ROMs, I don't know if it's jammed, what's up? I could hear it spinning all the time. I've got 2 of them on this computer, and one of them is constantly spinning. So I'm figuring it's actually not a hardware, it's a hardware problem, not a software problem. It's going to be the CD-ROM, whatever's stuck in this thing, because it won't open. I'm figuring whatever's in there is keeping me from loading the new software. So to that point, I've messed with it enough that I'm ready to do hammer surgery again. So I'm going to get back hold of my guy, and I'm in the process of that now, getting that computer shipped off to him so he can hopefully put me my Windows 7 on there. And that is really the only hurdle that I'm waiting on now. I mean, I've got a couple others. One of them's kind of minor. You see me looking around in my shop. One of them is I can't find my box that has my airbrushes and a bunch of my bits. I do have a few bits, so I can still run the machine, but my airbrushes are a big deal. So it's here somewhere. I just haven't found it yet. It may be in my garage. I don't know. I don't know what I've done with it, but I'll run across it. So that's where I'm at on that. And then the other thing, you'd think, oh, well, that's not that big a deal. You get that knocked out pretty quick. And you're right. I could get that knocked out pretty quick. We ran into some other things. I've got a family member that's became very ill, and we are helping transport them to the doctor, which is from our house is an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. And I do that. I did it yesterday. I'll do it twice next week. I mean, so it really takes some of our time up doing that. And on top of it, we're keeping a grandchild full-time or 4 or 5 days a week. So we're staying busy, Not to say that I wouldn't have time to come out here and do CNC. I would. If I had this thing running, I would have still been doing it. So as soon as I get this thing up and running, the computer up and running, you will see CNC videos coming back. I'm hoping sooner than later. I mean, last time I told you I was right on the cusp, and I was. But when that blue screen of death came up, it just deflated me, and I was just frustrated with it for a good while. So I'm to the point now I've messed with it again, and I'm going to take it back to somebody and see if they can get it put on there. If they can't, I'll break down and buy a new computer to put out here and run this thing and put Windows 7 on a new computer, because I'm just ready to get going again. I'm ready to get this thing buzzing. I miss doing it. So that's where I'm at. I know I hadn't been on in a good while, and so I thought I better give you an update, just kind of saying where I stand right now and what's happening. I am trying to get here. It's just things happen. You know, life hits you and you got to do other stuff. And the other kind of interesting thing is I'm looking at another machine. I'm not looking at another router. I'm looking at another laser. I've got a laser, but it's a closed face. I don't know how to say it. It's covered. And there's no way to really get a camera in to video it. So I'm looking at an open top frame laser, because there's several things we want to do with them. I want to do some woodwork with one. My wife is wanting to do some leather work with one. And so that would work out twofold for me, because I could video all of it. So that's one thing I'm looking at right now on top of this. And I really hope to get to that also. But number one on the list is getting the big beast of a CNC put back together and get the computer up and running. So guys, that's about it. That's where I'm at, and that's why I hadn't been on in a while. Hoping to get back real soon. I'll catch y'all next time.